What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of F1 Fantasy Pole Position. It is the Las Vegas Grand Prix F1 Fantasy Race Review, and there is a lot to go over. But first off, we are 6 subs away from 4,000. Can we crack it on this stream? I hope so, because I hope there's quite a few of you around here, because that was quite a big day in F1 Fantasy. Now, while it probably wasn't the most amazing race that we've had, I still think the first two editions of the Vegas Grand Prix were better. Look at this on the screen right now. Global top 500. Norris 53.4%, Verstappen 49.6%. There is about to be a huge swing in F1 Fantasy because pretty much the global top 500 is split 50-50 on Norris versus Verstappen. And we got to go look at this, folks, because, I mean, I know y'all watch the race, but Verstappen 56 points, Norris 29 points. That is a big old difference. And it's gonna hurt Lando Norris managers. I am saying this with a smile on my face because I'm not a Lando Norris manager, but wow. This is, it's gonna be big. There's gonna be a big swing. I mean, I can tell you right now, going to my team, so right now I'm projected for 290 points on my T1 squad with Verstappen, Russell, Sainz, Behrman, Gasly. 290 points is what I'm projected at. And right now I'm at 247. I started the weekend off just inside the top 3,000. And if I go look at the provisional points, I'm just outside the top 2K now. That is huge. That is absolutely huge. It might go down a little bit when overtakes are taken into account and stuff like that, but I was not expecting that. And it is just a huge boost of momentum as a lot of us head into Qatar. But so that's kind of the opening salvo of that whole episode there. But let me know what your projected points are in the chat, what your biggest hit or what you hit on, what you missed on. And we will just break it all down over the next hour or so. So I hope everyone is doing well. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. And yeah, just wow. That was, like I said, not the most amazing F1 race, but for F1 Fantasy, this was like the Thursday night football of F1, whereas like, it's not a game for the neutral fans who don't have like any skin in the game with like NFL fantasy football or whatever, but it's like, holy moly, that was crazy. Also touching my T3 squad here, Verstappen Antonelli turned out to be quite awesome. 381 points for that 3X, that extra DRS team, as I was doing the George Russell mini league, so thought I'd be a little bit different. But yeah, and then T2 was fine as well, 281 points. So yeah, we're going to get into all the race results as we go through. Let me just hop in the chat here, see what everyone is up to. Hopefully everyone is doing well. Right now there's a poll going on. Who was the second best driver of the day? Unsurprisingly, Kimi Antonelli is winning this with 95% of the vote, but I put Antonelli, Hamilton, Leclerc, and Hulkenberg on there. Hulkenberg is an outside shot because the dude scored points, and his teammate, Gabby Bortoleto, ruined the race for about 3 other drivers. Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll. That was just really bad by Gabby Bortz, who is having some pretty terrible back-to-back race weekends right now and is strictly an avoid for the remainder of the season. Mr. Iceman is in the chat. Kimmy should have gotten driver of the day. Looking forward to the stream. Ben Odds, what is up, everyone? Hope you're all doing great. Please remember to like the stream. Yes. Smash that like button. It was just a masterclass from Verstappen. It deserved driver of the day, says Jay. Hey, guys, what a race. Good morning, says Robert. Yeah, it was a race for F1 Fantasy. Agrees with Michael. Bernard says, with the provisional points of 244, I'm currently just under 2.3, which is wildly better than I expected for my first year. Yes, absolutely crushing it, Bernard's. Great job by you. Rebecca is checking in from the Cayman Islands, so that must be pretty early in the morning for you, Rebecca, but she is an F1 Fantasy Pole Position YouTube member, and don't forget that you can also sign up for that, even as we go into the final 2 races of the season. Want more loosey-goosey maths? You can join the YouTube program or Patreon, where you'll get early access to my team selection videos, chit-chat with me during the week, and just in general have a bang-up time. So hopefully you guys are thinking about that for 2026. JB says, I'm running top 300 with Verstappen. Great job. Like, awesome to have a top 300 rank in the chat as well. Let us know what you're thinking about Qatar, Jay. 281 points provisionally due to Alonso over Sainz, says Rebecca. Michael says 290 as well. Hello, Rebecca, says Michael. So here we go. Let's go. Should we break it down by F1 fantasy or just go through the race results here? We'll go through the race results a little bit. So going from bottom to top, Stroll, Bortoleto, Albon, all DNF'd. So they weren't on a lot of our radars. I mean, Lance Stroll in the rain yesterday was a little bit on their radar, but his call to go on to intermediates during Q2 instead of wets was not all that great. And unfortunately, he was just a victim of lap 1 chaos. Albon, just another scrappy weekend. I mean, I think I mentioned it in the Q&A stream on Wednesday night, that his kind of scrappy driving has been okay for F1 fantasy purposes, because he would like qualify low and finish medium-ish, like 20 points in Austin, 13 points in Mexico, and another 19 points in Brazil, despite some like poor qualifying results. And he was just kind of getting away with it, and it kind of came back to bite him finally. But just a scrappy end to the season for Albon, who is starting to lose that garage, I feel like, to Carlos Sainz, because Carlos Sainz had another good performance. I mean, starting P3 and finishing, what was he, 7th, I believe, is not fantastic. Obviously, you feel a little bit disappointed with that, but he got passed by Russell, Piastri, Antonelli, and Leclerc. Like, you can't really fault a Williams car for getting passed by that. 17th was Colapinto. Just Alpine had no hope today. Liam Lawson had his race ruined at the beginning. So did Pierre Gasly, who fought back to kind of limit the damage in F1 fantasy. Ended up with -2 points, but he only needed -11 or something to get that great price rise. And that's exactly what I needed from Pierre Gasly. Points would have been nice, obviously. Got into Q3, maybe could have snagged a couple more points for us in F1 fantasy, which wouldn't have been bad, but his purpose for me this week was to gain me 0.6 in budget so I could make moves for Qatar and be in a better spot to get to the ideal 3X lineup, which I'm still not entirely sure what that is going to be, but we're going to look at that in the team selection later today. Moving on up the grid here, we got Yuki Tsunoda, just whatever. Alonso looked kind of spicy in his middle stint, I believe. Like, he was making some passes, but then the Haas boys kind of got the better of him at the end. 11 and 12 for Ocon and Behrman. Ocon actually outscoring Behrman by 2 points today in F1 fantasy, up provisionally. Hamilton, like, I know going from P19 to P10 looks like a big jump, but I'm not entirely sure how much of that was after lap 1. Like, overall, he still seemed way off the pace of Leclerc. And like, I thought, like, you would kind of expect Lewis Hamilton to get ahead of Hülkenberg and Hadjar. Like, maybe getting up to Sainz was a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, still climbing 9 places seems weird to say that that's a disappointment for Lewis Hamilton, but it's just, when is 2026 happening for this guy? Because hopefully he can put this in the bin and just move on to bigger and better things next season. Hülkenberg, that's why I put him on driver of the day. Like, still getting points for Sauber. That's still big. If we go to, let's see, the team standings here, we can see that Sauber really need these points as they're closing in on like Aston Martin and Haas for 7, 8, 9. I think Williams is far enough ahead now that we're going to say they're 5th. Racing Bulls with a 14-point advantage. Just on how that Aston Martin looks, I think they would be 6th. But 7, 8, 9 is still pretty spicy in the constructor standings. Keep going up here the grid. Hadjar with another good weekend. Fell back a little bit here. He was P5 at the start of the race, but getting passed by the 3 or 4 best teams on the grid is not bad. Sainz falling down. Leclerc had a good race. Looked like he had some really good pace in that first stint. And then Ferrari just kind of letting him down with, I think, the strategy call. McLaren kind of nailed it with Oscar bringing him in early. He got the undercut on Leclerc and Sainz. So great job by Oscar in F1 Fantasy for the World Drivers' Championship. I think it's over, folks. However, there is something we need to look at here. Is apparently Mr. Norris's car is being investigated. They're inspecting his car via DAZN. ES would be España. And he was lifting and coasting at the end, but I just can't imagine that his car would be underweight when there was a couple of VSCs during the weekend or during the race. So it seems like a long shot, but we'll probably keep an eye on that over the next 45-ish minutes. So we'll see how that goes. But there's just something in the background there going on. So don't worry about that too much. Hopefully, if you're a Lando Norris manager. Russell in third. He had some steering issue they were talking about on the broadcast. So his race was drastically affected by that. Norris with the lift and coast at the end was told to go chase down Verstappen. That seemed... Why would you take off Max Verstappen like that? Because then Max Verstappen went up and he just put the cherry right on top of his Sunday or Saturday evening, but Sunday for a lot of us, and like took the fastest lap and got driver of the day and came away with a massive haul here. Where's the live scoring tab? 56 points, nearly doubling Lando Norris's score. So that is, yeah, that's going to hurt. That is going to hurt. But we're going to see how it goes here. So back into the chat. Showing that I've clawed my way back up to 1001 global provisional, which I'm very surprised about given the wrong side of Alonso and Bortoleto for the last 5 weeks. Hopefully that sticks, Rebecca. That would be great. Overslept the deadline, kept Bortoleto, Alonso, and Norris. My team equals Titanic. Yeah, that's not so good, Urban988, but hopefully it comes together and something happens here. Micah says, got plus 1.8 million and plus 35 points from my transfer. Still dropped 1,000 in the global ranks. Holy moly, Micah. That is a big drop. Christoph says, my risk with dropping McLaren to Red Bull to get Max and Norris with RB and Merck did me really great. Plus, I took a negative 10 to change Bortoleto to Ocon. My best weekend so far. Great job by you, Christoph. That is awesome. Bernard says, yeah, my predicted budget gain of 2.4 is exactly what I needed. I had to have Qatar and Gasly in my team instead of Sainz due to budget limited my predicted points. Now I'm set for a 3x, says Christoph. Nice move, says Jay. Sammy's in the chat. Hope all is well. Great day for F1 Fantasy and EPL. Solid weekend. Yes, Newcastle doing Arsenal a favor. Liverpool just doing no one a favor because who cares about bottom half of the table team right now? Just disasters. But I do have Brian Mbuemo going as my captain in F1 or FPL on Monday night. So we'll see how it goes. What is going on with Norris? That would be a yikes from McLaren. What? No, FIA, please don't DQ Lando. I guess we're going to see. Would make it good for the championship, though. Yeah, I think it would. I mean, but I think Lando deserves it at this point. But whatever. Micah, 301 points / 2.9 million budget in F1 Fantasy Tools with McLaren, Mercedes, Verstappen ×2, Bear, Sainz, Antonelli, and Hadjar. Got lucky this week. Great job by you, Micah. Great job. All right, moving over to the F1 fantasy scores here. They're all on the screen right now. Verstappen 56, Norris 29, Antonelli 29, Russell 27, Piastri 23. Verstappen, I mean, what can you say? He knew that Lando wasn't going to compete with him for that first corner. And I think Lando could have had it. He was just so aggressive in that first corner covering off Max that he kind of cost himself almost his race in like the first 150 meters. And Max took advantage and kind of zoomed off into the distance. It was looking a little back and forth there for a minute. Getting driver of the day is a cherry on top. Hopefully we just get that out of the game next season. But I also kind of want to make a case for maybe just putting fastest lap down like to 5 points or something next season, because Max Verstappen qualifies second, overtakes in the first corner, and wins the race. But if Lando Norris gets that fastest lap and there's no driver of the day, say we're living in this perfect timeline, he would have scored more points than Max Verstappen, and that just inherently doesn't feel right. So maybe, and also like the huge swing in fastest lap and driver of the day going to one driver compared to the other, when in the elite data, like we've talked about a little bit already, is 53.4% for Norris and 49.6% for Verstappen. It's just a little too swingy. Like that variable is just not so great. And it just feels a little rough on Norris managers and like really good for Verstappen managers like myself, but it doesn't feel like there was that much to choose between them. But at one point, Norris was outscoring Verstappen when Verstappen was clearly the best pick this weekend. And I know it's all about fancy game, but I'd like the game to get a little bit more in line. Antonelli here, 29 points, like bang up drive. Honestly, I think he should appeal that 5-second time penalty because I didn't see really a false start or whatever they were saying. Maybe there's something in the data that they can show us to see why he false started or starting infringement or whatever they were calling it. But it looked really minimal. I don't know. It seems really harsh. So maybe that's why Mercedes decided to like keep him out there and just hope for the one stop. Maybe they're going to appeal it after the race. 27 points for Russell. It was an okay weekend. Started fourth, finished third. Was maybe on for P2 if he didn't have that steering issue. That would have been a little bit of a bigger weekend. But in the elite data, Russell's in 60% of teams. So not too bad there either. Piastri, 23 points. Just really anonymous. I mean, where is he at in the global top 5? 3.2% of teams have him in their squad, and I can't imagine that that will be more than 3.2% for Qatar. We'll see how McLaren looks in FP1 and the sprint quali, but Piastri is going to be a little divisive in Qatar. Leclerc with 20, Hamilton 17. Leclerc looked pretty good at times today, pretty not okay at times as well. Hamilton, turn 1, lap 1, had a bunch of overtakes, and then I don't know about the rest of it. Sonoda, Sainz, Ocon, Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg, 9 points, still got the 0.6 price drop, but not bad at all. Ocon here, Behrman, and Hadjar, Alonso, Colapinto, Gasly, Lawson, Albon, Stroll, Bortoletto. Bortoletto should honestly get more than negative 19 because, like, that was such a bad move in turn 1. Like, that looks like an F1 video game move where you just absolutely dive bomb and you're like, oh crap, I'm not going to make it. And you just take out a bunch of points. All right, what's Gasly's points? Look like it's going to be -2, Christoph. Max is only 12 points behind Piastri. Yikes. I know, like, if Piastri finishes third, like, I mean, he's obviously just going for the World Drivers' Championship, right, Sammy? But, like, that's a really bad look. If you drop from championship leader at the summer break with what do you have, a 34-point lead to then finishing third? Third in the World Drivers' Championship? That's bad. Jay says, can you wish Hitty from the Dutch League good luck, please, to keep his second spot in our private league? I can wish Hitty from the Dutch League good luck, Hitty. 304 points plus 3.3 million projected. Really hope Lando somehow will be disqualified. Let's go, Max. 5 World Drivers' Championship. That would be crazy. That would be crazy. Joylin and Alex said they saw him move. Okay. I guess I just saw like the one replay they showed, Michael, and I didn't see anything, but I will leave it to the experts because, you know, it was 5:30 in the morning when they showed that replay. Alrighty. So what else are we going to do here? I guess I can start. Do you guys mind if we just do the budget builder together this time? Let's do budget builder. Boom. I'm now inside top 1K in my T1. First year with F1 Fantasy going really well so far. Christoph, that is awesome. Yes, I cracked the top 1K for the first time last year. That was like my third or fourth year playing. Third full season playing? I can't remember. Third or fourth full season playing. So you are doing it great, my friend. All right, I'm going to end this poll because Antonelli is absolutely dominating it at 94%. So the next poll will be, there we can go. This is a poll. Will you bring in Oscar for Qatar? Yes or no? Start poll. And then, Michael, that question you asked me on X earlier this morning, I want to get into that as well, because that is it's a pretty interesting question about Antonelli that we need to probably think about for Abu Dhabi. I'm not so sure about Qatar. So, alrighty, how are we going to go about this? I'm going to move the budget builder over here so that I can kind of no, I'm not going to do it. We're not going to have time to do the budget builder, and you guys are just going to watch me type. So that's do I have any news about the investigation about Norris? No, we are just all waiting on bated breath like you, Robert. So we'll see what goes on there. I mean, I guess I can, let's see here. Norris. Let's see. We got anything? I'm not seeing anything yet, but you never know. These things can happen quite quickly. Max number 69 next year would be hilarious. Haha, he's considering it too. Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think he's trying, if he doesn't win the World Drivers' Championship, I believe the rumor is that he's going to go to number 3 because Daniel Ricciardo will be out from like the racing rigmarole or whatever. So I think number 3 will be up for grabs. Michael says, oh, I don't know how to answer that poll. Nothing on it from Chris Medlin. Budget builder won't matter much anymore, says Micah. That is true. That is very true. But you never know for Abu Dhabi. Maybe you want to try and take a punt or get up to a Norris Verstappen thing. But yeah, I'll have the budget builder ready to go for the team selection video. Where's Chris Medlin? Is it Chris Medlin? Is that how you spell it? I keep forgetting. There we go. Let's see here. Max Verstappen wins the Las Vegas Grand Prix. Leclerc goes up 6. Okay, I don't see anything from him. I'm pretty sure he's on my list, though. He is on my Formula 1 list. There we go. Okay, so we'll just keep an eye on that as we go along. On his radio, his race director said they were good on fuel toward the end. I think he'll be okay. Okay, says Phil. Okay, thank you for the note, Phil. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Where's the poll going early? Will you bring an Oscar for Qatar? 16% with yes, 84% with no. So if you're saying no to Oscar Piastri, let me know in the chat who you are going to bring in instead. Are you going to keep Russell? Are you going to be bringing in Antonelli? Are you going to be bringing in Ferrari driver? That is what we need to know, because if it's not going to be Oscar, who is it going to be? It's going to be very interesting. So let me know in the chat who you are going to bring in instead of Oscar Piastri, or not bring in, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, who is going to be your second driver with Lando Norris? Because right now, my team here on the screen: Verstappen, Russell, Behrman, Sainz, Gasly, McLaren, Mercedes. I don't think I'm going to be able to get to a Verstappen-Lando lineup, so it's going to be quite tricky. If we go here to, let's go to the team calculator. Let's see. So if I go manual, so McLaren, Norris, Mercedes, Verstappen, and then with the 3 cheapest assets, that's going to be Colapinto, Alonso, and I believe Liam Lawson is now going to be the 3rd cheapest asset in the game. So let's see, what do we got here? So that's going to be 139 million, which I should be over. I think I'm going to be at 141 million. So I can have a little bit of wiggle room, although this is before price increases. So Verstappen's going to go up 0.3, 0.3. And then that'll be minus a million, so 1.2. So yeah, this will be like 139.2 million, which I will be just under, or just above, I guess, in my cost cap, which is not bad. But that's going to enable, I'm going to have to take a negative 20 to get to that kind of lineup. If I have 1.8 left in the bank for this manual team that I've got up here, then that is probably, because Lawson's going to be 5.3. So maybe I can get here for a negative 10 with like Gasly. But I'm probably going to have to get rid of Behrman and Sainz. And yeah, that's going to be probably a negative 20 right now. So let's see here. All right, what's everyone saying? I pray I have enough for Max and Lando, Max and Norris for Qatar, Norris Verstappen. I've stayed in my team for months. Great job by you, Sticks Alo. Honestly, my hot take is that budget building never stops because you need to keep an eye to ensure you're not priced out of better asset. Budget just becomes less of a priority. Nice. Going Norris/Russell with 3x, says Molly Jane. Max or Norris, says Sammy. Depends on sprint qualifying results, but based on the last few weeks, you're better with a Mercedes driver if you can't afford Verstappen, Norris. Michael says, okay, I'm out on that. Altash says, I had Max 2x, Russell, Sainz, Behrman, and Ocon with McLaren and Mercs. I flirted with dropping McLaren to Red Bull and going Max, Russell, Antonelli, and both Alpines, but I didn't have the kahoonies. Yeah, that would have been some big kahoonies there for sure. So I can't blame you there. The nice thing about going with double Alpine right now is, and these are like words preceding tragic events, but in general, they haven't really been burning F1 fantasy managers. I know that Adam from Fanamp Fantasy HQ, who does a great job and has a great article on the Mercedes website right now about why the Las Vegas Grand Prix is one of his favorite Grand Prix. You should go check that out. Double Alpine really hasn't been burning you. So as you can see here, Pierre Gasly's last DNF was in Spa, and that was during the sprint. And well, he actually ran the sprint, but he just didn't finish within a couple of laps or something like that. And then just in general, 0, 0, 5, 5, 2, 3, 9, 21, and then negative 2 points today. And then we've got Colapinto, has been a little bit more risky, but in the last 7 races, 11, 0, 1, 3, 7, 4, a DNF in Brazil. But what would he have today? Positive point, or 0 points today. So really haven't been getting burned by Alpine like we would with some other back markers in years past in F1 Fantasy. So it's not all that bad to run them. However, we'll see what's going to happen to Qatar, because if you guys just, you're not as in tune with F1 as like a lot of people are. So in Qatar, there's going to be a 25 lap limit on each tire. So that means in a 57 lap race, which Qatar is, each driver is definitely going to have to stop at least twice. And then when they did this in 2023, Oscar Piastri came out with a quote saying that they pretty much did 57 straight laps of qualifying. Rain Fantasy is in the chat. He was actually talking about this. Great point by Rain on X earlier this week, that it's going to be interesting to see the physical demands of Qatar due to, like, with the 2-stop strategy, that, like, are these rookies gonna suffer? Is a Colapinto gonna suffer? Is an Antonelli gonna suffer? We're gonna see some, wild variations of team strategy and stuff like that. Like Logan Sargent had to retire from the race in 2023 because he was like throwing up on himself and stuff like that. And you saw all those pictures of drivers like struggling to get out of their cars and stuff. Rain, how did I do? I scored 290 points. So I believe I'm about 9 points behind you. I know you did not have Gasly. I think you had Hadjar instead of Gasly, right? So I believe you are up on me by about 9 points here. But if you look at the provisional scores, mate, it's looking pretty nice. I've flown from like 2,900 to just outside the top 2K right now. Like this, we've been talking about this a little bit in the episode already, that this swing, Norris 53.4% versus Verstappen 49.6% in the global top 500, is going to be huge. Sammy says, we can get rid of Vegas Grand Prix just based off the Mickey Mouse performance. I've been seeing a lot of hate for the Las Vegas Grand Prix this weekend. Like, people not really liking the glitz and the glam about it, but at least it has the glitz and the glam, and it has some okay racing. If you want to get rid of an American race, get Miami off the calendar. That ish is boring. So stop hating on the Vegas Grand Prix, focus all our energy on Miami, because that race is boring. So I'd rather not get that. Rain is in the house. Yeah, I'm on Hadjar over Gasly. Great week for both of us. Yes. Antonelli is really coming into our thoughts, though. I'm really curious. What do you think, Rain? Are you going to be going with... I asked, I have the poll up. Are you going to be bringing in Oscar for Qatar, or are you just off him in form? Let me know in the chat. Mike says 4 subs to go. Can't stop the stream until you hit 4K. That would be great. That would be great. I'd love to get on the stream. You can keep Las Vegas if we can remove Monaco, please. Now, honestly, I feel like Miami is more on my hit list than Monaco. So Arjun says, yep, Miami needs to go. So yeah, well, like Vegas, it's over the top, but that's Vegas. Vegas is over the top for the United States in general. Like, so to have that from the European vibes, like going from like Imola to Vegas is like two opposite ends of the spectrum. So we will see, but I think Vegas deserves it. It's no, I live 1 hour from Miami. Please don't say that, please. Well, yeah, Carlos, it's just not the most exciting race to have on the calendar, but I understand that money talks and stuff like that. But yeah, the provisional standings right now, yeah, like I said, if we go check the public leagues, for now, just outside the top 2K. So it's going to be really interesting. With the price increases going my way, I can now afford Norris, Verstappen, Hadjar, Lawson, Colapinto with the 3X. Ooh, that is very nice. I don't think I can afford Hadjar. I think I was looking at a variation with Norris, Verstappen. Who was I talking about? Chat. Norris, Verstappen. I might have to go all the way down to Alonso and Colapinto, and maybe I can keep Gasly. But yeah, it'd be very, very interesting. I'd be surprised if I lock in anything else in for Qatar, to be honest, he says. So yeah, I mean, getting Norris and Verstappen, that's not going to be a bad shout. That was the top two last year, even though Lando had like a 10-second time penalty for black and white flag because he didn't brake under yellows, which somehow Max Verstappen caught. Like he is so aware of everything. This year, Miami was interesting. I'm lost what was boring about that race. Maybe I'm thinking of previous years, Carlos, but like the first two were not all that great. I guess this year, it was that was when Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris were kind of having it. But I personally, I prefer Vegas over Miami. And then Coda is number one by like a mile over those two races. Colapinto could be Alonso, of course. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think Alonso dropping down there is really nice. Lawson dropping down with how Racing Bulls have been looking is interesting to me. And then, like, of course, we don't really have to worry about budget heading into the final two races or like budget loss heading into Abu Dhabi all that much. So Lawson's going to be on for a price drop in Qatar, but he could score you enough points. Let's see here. Woohoo, Rain Fantasy. Way to go, says Rebecca. My mind was good this year because of the rain. Is there any news already from Norris's car? No, I still haven't seen anything. Still haven't seen it. We're waiting to see if this check has happened with something going on there. What is Oscar saying? I got barged out of the way, and apparently that is fine. Yeah, that was the wheel to wheel. That was really close to not being very good for Oscar Piastri. Not at all. But yeah, still not seeing anything about Lando's car. You think that would have come out by now, but it is F1 and it is the FIA, so you never know. But yeah, we'll have to stick around and see what happens there. Okay. Let's see, what are we looking at here? Boom. I'm going to catch this stream up here. There is no final classification from the FIA so far, says Michael. So that's something that we need to monitor heading into the final part of the stream. I'd love to stay on until that gets verified and stuff, but here we are. So 36th in Germany. Where is everyone in their national league? Let me know. Are you guys cracking the top 100? How's it going in like your mini leagues, your national leagues? Like, do you guys have a big gap that you have to close down or protect heading into the final two races of the F1 Fantasy season? Always kind of interested. That will probably play into our thinking over the final two races as we try to protect that. But gotta feel like it's in a pretty good position. There's a lot of managers that have the extra DRS still available in F1 Fantasy heading into Qatar, which is a little bit of a higher DNF track than you may have thought, because I was prepping my Qatar team selection a little bit yesterday after qualifying for the Miami or for the Las Vegas Grand Prix. And I think there have been 8 DNFs here. Now, some are collisions, some are retirements, but yeah, it's very, it could be a little risky, especially with this 225 lap limit. Arjun says, I ran Verstappen ×2, Albon, Behrman, Hadjar, Gasly, McLaren, and Mercedes. Provisionally 201 points. Albon disappointed big time the entire weekend, was on for an easy price rise. I am 34th in India, says Anand. I've been patiently sticking with Piastri, but I think it's time to jump ship, says Neo Sapphire. I think so. Benaz is 58th in South Africa, 124th in the USA, says Michael. Number 2 in the Cayman Islands, says Rebecca. Great job by you, Rebecca. League rival, 100 points, 107 points ahead. 49th in Sweden with provisional points, 1.7k global. Crazy how good the Swedes are at this game, huh? At least they're good at F1 fantasy compared to football, Rain. Ooh, you burnt. No, I'm just kidding. You still have a pathway to make to the World Cup, right? I believe, but not super easy, if I remember correctly. I can't remember what the pots were, but yeah, hopefully Sweden joins Scotland and Australia and the USA and England at the World Cup. And then we can maybe get some F1 fantasy content creator rabble going on between myself, Adam, you, Rain, Rob, Zach, Terry. We'll see how it all goes on. Oh, man. But yeah, it feels like it was, man, I'm really interested to see what the final results are with these Lando Norris kind of swings. I don't think Lando's going to get DSQ'd. And honestly, I know there's a lot of people like hoping that he gets DSQ'd and stuff like that. But I just don't, I wouldn't want it to go that way. That would be kind of bad. We got some race quotes coming out here. Let's see. Well, Lewis Hamilton says, I feel terrible. It's been the worst season ever. No matter how much I try, it just keeps getting worse. Is Lewis Hamilton going to be in F1 in 2027? We got like the easiest draw despite not winning a single game in the qualification. Okay, then there you go. That's not bad. Not bad at all. Going into top 300 of the world this week, says Jay. Great job by you. Okay, I get it, previous years, but this year was cool. Crazy sprint with rain. A good no negative chip play for those who use it. Others use limitless and got really nervous at the sprint race. Cool race. Okay, Carlos. All right, we'll just have to agree to disagree on this one, but I prefer Vegas to Miami, and I think if you were going to have to get rid of one American race, which I don't think they're going to do, they'll probably add another race before they take away an American race. My vote would be Miami, because COTA is goated and Las Vegas, although Miami is a little bit better for my time zone, because this is it's been a pretty brutal weekend in the sleep department for myself, because like Scotland I was up late on Tuesday watching Scotland, then I was doing the stream on Wednesday night. Thursday night was practice with Texans Bills football. Friday was qualifying, and then today was a little bit better. So Carlos Sainz saying, happy with P7. We executed a good race and we're fastest out of the midfield. Strategically, we could have been a bit more aggressive, but we take the learnings, carry them in, and we'll continue to fight to hold P5. Yes, that's true. Alex Albon says, we had no radio for the race, which resulted in a chain reaction of problems. Massively frustrating to leave here without points, having been so competitive this weekend at Williams Racing. It was a very tricky race in terms of tire degradation, but I reacted pretty well. I think the pace was okay, but we also had some graining on the final stints. Yeah, Ollie Behrman saying it was his like least favorite track to drive on, or his least favorite sprint track to drive on. Or street race to drive on. So that was interesting. What does this mean? What do we got here? Vasseur analyzes the race of Leclerc and admits an error made with his SF25 and explains the strategy and problems of Hamilton. The goal remains to win a race this year. Big yikes. Rain says, enjoy the stream. I'm heading to sleep. Good night, Rain. Get some sleep. Or good morning, Rain. Get some sleep. Bills, say it, Neo Sapphire. Yeah, the Texans, man. That defense is nasty. Carlos, I think we've reached a peace treaty here. We'll just agree to disagree. So we're all good there. Let's see. Will you bring an Oscar for Qatar? 39 votes. That's a yes, 13%. No, 87%. Wow, you guys are hating big time. And I will end this stream with this poll. Where is Lewis Hamilton driving in 2027? Ferrari. And then I've got a little bit of a curveball, and I'm going to explain my thinking here. And then as the second option. So where is Lewis Hamilton driving in 2027? Ferrari, McLaren, or is he out of the sport? What a disaster with Norris getting DSQ'd. I don't think I've seen that he's getting DSQ'd. Uh-oh. Looks like a scrutineering issue for Lando Norris. The FIA's Nicholas Tombazis is in the garage in discussion with Andrea Stella, whose media session has been postponed. What is happening? Oh, man. Oh, boy. Insert Sabrina Carpenter. Oh, boy. That's what I'll insert Sabrina Carpenter meme. Oh, boy. This could get interesting. This could get interesting. When is the Qatar's team selection coming up? Well, that's a great question, Anand. It's probably going to be coming out today. So it'll probably come out today, or I'll probably record it today, and it'll be up with... It'll either be up first thing tomorrow morning or lunchtime tomorrow morning, UK time. So we will see. Yeah, let's see how this is going to go. If Lando Norris were disqualified, the championship standings would be as follows: 391 for Norris, 381 for Piastri, 366 for Verstappen. So Verstappen would still be 25 points off, but Verstappen would be 10 points behind. I think he retires. Wow, I'm done in F1 Fantasy. Great for the championship, though. At last time, bring in Sainz by final fix. That would be nice for the wild card. Being in Austin, 3 times in Vegas, or 3 times in Miami, and next year Silverstone and Vegas. Wow, that's amazing. Oh, I'm okay doing worse in fantasy with Norris if it makes the championship interesting. The thing will be, we get the overtake shot. Are we sure Kimi had that false start? Yeah, it sounds like F1 kind of broke it down, and he did have the false start, Stefan, but I don't think the final points are in yet, because we have a Lando Norris DSQ hanging over our heads, and I'm going to have to retweet my kind of... Here, is Lando about to be DSQ'd? Come and watch us all wait for the results. Okay, I don't think I can get off of this stream until we figure out if Lando Norris is going to be DSQ'd or not. So, yeah. What's happening with Lando here? Please explain. So, it sounds like at the end of the race, McLaren was saying that Lando needed to lift and coast. That's why he lost so much time. And I guess we're trying to figure out if it was a fuel thing, which I don't think it can be a fuel thing, because there was like a couple of VSCs in there. So that means if they're like without the VSCs, he would be like, he probably would have like ran out of fuel on the track, because they like go so much slower under a VSC. But so maybe it's plank wear or something. I mean, it does feel a little not so random that he was like lifting and coasting, and the FIA is like, we're going to inspect that car. So we'll see. Let's go Verstappen. Wait, what? Lando DSQ would be hilarious and should land me in global rank 1. Fingers crossed, says Kamichi. Kamichi is flying this season here. It'll be sad if they DQ Lando, but I don't think so. I guess we'll have a second emergency live stream like in China. They need 1 liter of fuel to provide a sample. So, yeah. Okay, amid intrigue over the post-race status of Lando Norris and McLaren, the podium cars are yet to be released from Parc Ferme, and FIA single-seater boss Nicholas Tombazis was seen talking to Andrea Stella in the McLaren box. So, the interesting thing would be a negative 25 for McLaren. And then like the teams that went Red Bull, Mercedes would be flying. Red Bull's only in 5.6% of the global top 500, so it probably wouldn't hurt that badly, but those teams with Red Bull and Max Verstappen would be absolutely flying. So yeah, that is yeah. It's wild. I'm not entirely sure what's gonna happen, but yeah, we're gonna stick around here. Yes, F1 Big Data just with the I might as well just keep it on my Twitter feed, right? I guess that'll update it as much as possible. Let's see here. Where is Lewis Hamilton driving in 2025? Ferrari, McLaren, or out of the sport? So my thinking with McLaren here is, and this is all, I posted this poll like 20 seconds before we saw the tweet about the, Neo Sapphire, Red Bull Merc guy here, 225 provisional. Well, you're going to get a few more points here because like Antonelli will move up, Russell will move up. I mean, just the delta between Red Bull and Mercedes and McLaren is going to be big. So the thinking behind me putting McLaren on here is this season has seemed to probably cause a little bit of a fracture in the McLaren garage. Like Oscar seems to not be vibing with the team right now, but he signed on for 2026. Verstappen, Red Bull situation in 2026 also seems like kind of on edge. Russell, who knows what the deal is there with Mercedes if Verstappen comes calling? Are they going to just boot Russell off to the side? Behrman's coming in 2027. Is Piastri going to look at Ferrari in 2027? That sort of stuff is all playing into my mind. And then I can't see Lewis Hamilton going down to like a midfield team and kind of like hanging around a la like Fernando Alonso kind of thing. However, there might be a seat open in McLaren. He finishes his career where he started for one season if they don't want a driver to challenge Lando, if they have a car to kind of compete for world championships, but like the feel-good factor of having Lewis Hamilton back in McLaren. So that's kind of my pitch for McLaren with Lewis Hamilton in 2027, maybe as like a one-off contract or 1-year contract. But right now, out of the sport is winning by 54% to Ferrari at 35%. So that's kind of that. I believe in McLaren. They surely couldn't F up that bad. We'll see, Zami. Apparently not enough fuel for the sample. Let's see. I switched from McLaren to Red Bull and keep Verstappen Norris. So negative 25 for Norris would be a huge bump for me in the top 1,000. Yeah. Very, very impressive. We are on DSQ Watch on my YouTube channel. Let me get this going here. Copy. We are on Lando DSQ Watch on my YouTube channel right now. Post. I tell you, no one wants to go to Ferrari. Surely not Oscar. Matt. Lando about to be DSQ'd, isn't he? It's not looking great, Bob. It's not looking great, Bob. So we will. I'm gonna be hanging around. I just can't imagine. Like this hopefully gets resolved. If this doesn't get resolved in the next 10 minutes, then I guess I can hop back on if he gets DSQ'd and we can just talk about it. But the swings, man, would be huge. I can't even think about it. Hello, Ewan, says Mr. Best. Hello, Mr. Best. How are you doing? We are just kind of hanging out here. Just kind of hanging out, waiting to see what's going to happen in F1 fantasy or just F1 in general. I mean, we're all F1 fans, so we're just kind of waiting on bated breath here to see what happens in this race or after this race. So imagine if it's Oscar. I think if it was Oscar, they probably would have released the cars from Parc Ferme right now. Like, surely, right? Like, if it was Oscar instead, but I guess crazier things have happened. Ted Kravitz confirms McLaren are under investigation, says RBR Daily. Oh my goodness. I'm predicted to score 223 points, LOL. Well, I think a lot of our points are going to go down here for McLaren. So, but I'm trying to think. If you had Lando managers with Red Bull, then I don't know how much of a gain that would, like, Verstappen's not going to gain any points out of this. However, if you're a Red Bull manager with Verstappen, it could be, yeah. So can we really say that drive of the day is BS if Kimi didn't get it? Not saying because I final fixed for him, but 48 laps on a hard, that's insane. Yes and no. I kind of have like a little bit of a, like, the opinion I have about drive of the day is that the award in itself being an F1 fantasy is dumb, and it should not be in the game because it is a fan vote. However, it feels like rewarding a driver of the day for someone that did a poor job on Saturday doesn't feel right to me. Like, it should be driver of the weekend. I know that doesn't roll off the tongue as much as driver of the day, but Verstappen did qualify in second and win the race. And that, like, Antonelli qualifying, P17, and then just like getting into the top 5, like, that's still a great drive for the day, but he also kind of like messed up on Saturday. So that's where I'm at with driver of the day award. If they just got it out of F1 fantasy, then would anyone actually pay attention to? Are we the only people actually paying attention to driver of the day? Like, I don't even think F1 fans, like just only F1 fans, care about it. It only seems to affect people in F1 fantasy, and we care about it more than anyone else, and it's so dumb. Mr. Best says, good thing I went max, so I will only lose points with McLaren as constructors. Yes, a lot of us are in that boat. Michael says, the race said only podium cars have yet to be released from Parc Fermé. Okay, so Oscar is in the clear. If anything happens with Lando and McLaren, I'm going to blame you because Red Bull was in my mind. I'm sorry. I had Lando and Kimi. Thank God I used the autopilot chip. That will limit the damage if Lando is DSQ'd. That's true. They should just remove it entirely, TBH. Yes, they should. Just take that award out of the entire game. Still getting used to that Saturday race day. Oh, yeah, because it's Saturday for a lot of them still over there. Anything? Yes. If you guys can't guess, I would put some money down on this being the picture for team selection tomorrow. Unless we can get one with Max. I saw one with Max earlier. So hopefully we can get that like a little bit more high res, because it's a little bit low res to put as the YouTube thumbnail. But yeah, I just don't know. We're just waiting for this. I'd like to know how many people actually vote driver of the day. FIA will never release the info. Well, one person right here voted for Max Verstappen. This week, I love driver of the day. Yes. Yeah, it's such a strange award. Like if Hamilton had gotten it. See, my thing is, going back to your point here, Stefan, is that like Hamilton went up 10 spots from the back of the grid. And I think he was third in driver of the day voting. I think it was Verstappen, Leclerc, and Hamilton were the top 3 when they showed the results there for a second. And it was just like, nah. And then, yeah, like Kimi won it in China. Do you remember that? They were like, Kimi Antonelli drove with damage for 50 laps in China, and he got driver of the day. And it's just like, okay, but he was pretty bad. Max, says Nicola. Yes, we are waiting to see here. So if Oscar ends up 10 points behind and Max is 25 points behind, let's see. Would you back Max to win? I don't know. In Brazil, Max earned a big... Yes, that was undoubted. Yeah, but he didn't hold the tire 48 laps and hold off Piastri and Leclerc. That's true. I voted for Max just because he gets extra points in fantasy. Otherwise, in terms of drive, Kimi also did deserve it. 1 sub away. Kimi driver of the day, says Nicola. So we'll see here. So Ferrari's at 39%, Out of Sport is at 53%, and McLaren is at 8% here. Okay, we got to do a poll right now, guys. It's like we're getting into the final-ish part of the episode, but here we go. If Lando is DSQ'd, who is most likely to beat him to the title. So this, I'm not going to give Lando as an option. It's going to be Piastri or Verstappen. Let's put 10 points behind, and then Verstappen 25 points behind. If Lando is DSQ'd, sorry. If Lando is DSQ'd, who is most likely to be into the title? Let me know. Would you back Verstappen or would you back Oscar to beat Lando to the World Drivers' Championship if he is DSQ'd? Man, oh man. Still don't think I can get off this stream because surely it's going to come down soon, but I don't remember when it came down in China. That was maybe like an hour after the race. I can't remember. All right, let's see here. Iggy Combo 3910 says, round with Mercedes, Red Bull, Verstappen, Russell, Antonelli, Gasly, Sainz with provisional fantasy tools points. That's 4 points off the optimal team for my budget. Very nice week with the same team 2 weeks in a row. Great job by you, Iggy Combo. And then you've got 3 free transfers for Qatar, if I'm understanding that correctly. Mr. Best says Supermax. Sakshamandand1 says always Max. And folks, if you look in the top left there, that is 4,000 subs. Thank you for 4,000 subs. That is madness. I think this channel was right at 500 to start the season. So for, like I said yesterday on the live stream, for the deadline live stream, the first 4,000, it's right here. They stay in your heart right here. So you never forget your first 4,000 subs. So don't forget to like the video if you're here. And yeah, we will keep going. Let's go. Verstappen is best driver ever, 100%. China was about an hour after the digital race review ended. Okay, Benaz, I appreciate that. So I probably will get out of here in the next 5 minutes. And if Lando Norris is DSQ'd, I'll just come back on for like 10 minutes. It'll be crazy. It took forever in Hungary for Seb to get the fuel DSQ. What happened in China, I literally don't remember. That was when both, I think Pierre Gasly got DSQ'd for, was he a fuel sample? And then both Ferraris were like plank wear and stuff like that. Congratulations, W. Cheers, simply lovely. You am I the same person who tags you on Twitter every weekend and other races too? I appreciate that. So yes, thank you. Always happy to chit chat F1. Congrats. 5K before the end of the season, easy. That would be insane. I don't think that's going to happen with 2 races to go, but I appreciate the support. Micah, Ferraris, 4,000. Congrats. Yes, thank you, Carlos. I really want to say Piastri for champion, but he's not driving in championship form. He's sure not. And y'all are backing that up. 70% of y'all would back Verstappen to overcome a 25-point deficit with 2 races to go over Piastri, who would have a 10-point deficit with 2 races to go. That is just showing us how much form. One Ferrari was for skid, the other one was for plank. Oh, okay, if I remember correctly. Yes, 3 transfers for Qatar went like 2.7 to 900 last week, was a monster haul. We'll see how it goes this week. It should be pretty good this week too, Iggy Combo. So great job by you. Gabriel Borletto has been handed a 5-place grid penalty for the Qatar Grand Prix after today's Turn 1 collision with Lance Stroll. Yeah, I think so. That was pretty bad. That was pretty bad from Gabby Bortz, and that's 2 really bad races in a row for him. I don't actually remember how he did in the race before that in Mexico. I think he did okay. Did he get a point in Mexico? What was he? He was 10th in Mexico, I believe. So 12 points here. Yeah, so he got 1 point in Mexico. So back-to-back, not very good weekends. Looked up the documents just now. Pierre and Charles were underweight. Lewis had too much plank wear. Okay. Lando will win the last 2, says Carlos. He probably, Qatar is going to be a very strong track for Lando Norris. But yeah, if you had to pick one of the other, would you pick Piastri or Verstappen to pip him to the title? If we had to do something here, this McLaren news seems to be kind of hanging over us right now. So, if it comes down in the next hour or so, I will come back on and we will just chit chat for like 10 minutes about the madness of what this means in F1. If Lando is qualified, Verstappen is 24 points behind, not 25, I believe. Oh, okay. Sorry. My bad. I must have done the math incorrectly. I think, well, I went off of F1 big data. Oh, it is 24. Oh, he changed it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So Piastri is 9 points behind and Verstappen is 24 points behind. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that said something else earlier. So I should have checked that myself, Mr. Iceman. But I appreciate the correction there. So 24 points or 9 points. I think we'd still back Max. If Lando does get DSQ, does the battle go all the way to Abu Dhabi? I think it has to, right? Like, I don't think Piastri will fall off a further 15 points in Qatar, where they are supposed to be quite strong. Lando won't be DQ'd. My boy is innocent. I'm a papaya fan, so Piastri all the way. So, yeah, I hope you guys have had a good time. Hopefully that 4,000 subs holds for now, but it's been a whole hour. So I am going to get out of here. If Lando is DSQ'd, I will do my best to come back on and chit chat for about 10 minutes about just how wild that is for F1 and F1 fantasy in general. But if you're watching this on replay over the next 24 hours, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel, as I guess the race to 4,000 subs has been completed. So now I guess we're just striving for 5. I got to think of a new catchy title for that. Drive for 5. There we go. Race to 4,000 subs and then the drive for 5. So W stream, thanks for this week. I can sub for my alt if needed, said Mr. Best. Always appreciated. Wait. Why is Lando DSQ'd? He's not DSQ'd yet, Leica, but he may be underweight or have a fuel sample issue. So we are going to, if that happens, we're going to hop back on and discuss it a little bit later on in the day. But I'm going to record my Qatar team selection later today as well. So that should be out bright and early Monday morning or lunchtime if you are in Europe. Someone just unsubscribed. That's very rude, but that's okay. So now that I've gone back under 4,000 subs. But that's okay. Great stream. Thank you, says Carlos. Greetings from Florida, USA at 2:30 a.m. Wow, you guys are being, yeah, okay. So I'm going to get out of here, and I will maybe be back if Lando Norris gets DSQ'd. So once again, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.